So in a school in Mississippi, I'd say 2 years ago, a teacher passed around an unwrapped chocolate bar around the classroom. And after this exercise, she asked her students to look at the chocolate bar. She said, "Do you see how dirty and disgusting it's gotten? This," she said, "represents a woman who's had sex." This type of derogatory view towards sex is actually unfortunately common in the United States, especially in classrooms. In the United States, only 19 states require public schools, this is public schools, not even counting private schools, to provide their students with sexual education, and only 13 of those states require that it be medically accurate. Other schools, among other states, choose to provide a different type of sexual education. This is called abstinence-only education. Abstinence-only education centers around the belief that the only way to prevent any type of unwanted pregnancy or STD is through refraining from sex indefinitely until marriage. This is not only highly quixotic, but also sexist. It adds on to a very antiquated gender role, and it doesn't cover consent. Not only this, but it has been shown that it does not help. So my first point of contention with the lack of comprehensive sexual education, with abstinence-only education, is that it's sexist. In these programs, men are seen as the only people that will ever instigate any sexual encounter. Women are seen as those who are responsible for saying no, for being the logical one in the situation, because men cannot control their hormones. This contributes to a well-known belief that men are somehow not responsible for their urges, which, as we all know, contributes to a culture of rape. Going back to the chocolate bar metaphor, women are seen as individuals that can be consumed. Sure, if a boy holds a chocolate bar for a short period of time, his hands might get sticky, but he can at least wash them. A woman, however, is permanently changed, and her worth is somehow less after she's been bitten out of a few times. As I said, this contributes to a culture of rape. Going further into this, abstinence-only education does not cover the issue of consent, because in abstinence-only education, you're not supposed to consent. The idea of anyone ever wanting to have sex is completely brushed over. When you look at college campuses today, 1 in 3 women are likely to experience some form of sexual assault during their time in college. We have so many Brock Turners in this world right now and on our campuses. And I tend to believe that those Brock Turners were not taught from an early age that consent is absolutely necessary for any sexual encounter. Finally, in 2006, a study was shown that America had a teen pregnancy rate that was 4 times as high as the Netherlands. The Netherlands, of course, provides more accurate sexual education and also provides resources for students to practice safe sex. Opponents will say that abstinence-only education is the only way for 100% to actually ensure that you won't get pregnant and won't get STDs. While this is technically true, condoms and contraceptives are also 99.9% effective, and we cannot expect our students, or at least all of our students, to go against all of their raging hormones, and stop and think in the heat of the moment. It is time we as America give them the education they need to, in the heat of the moment, at least think about their health. When I was in middle school, a kid passed around birth control pills, saying if you took one, you wouldn't get pregnant. I think it's time we as America start thinking about how to effectively teach our students how to be safe.
Do we have questions?
Yeah.
Could you clarify what you mean by Brock Turner, or maybe remind who he is?
Oh, yes. So Brock Turner, if for those of you who do not know, was the case in, he was a Stanford swimmer, and he brutally raped a woman behind a dumpster. She was unconscious and therefore could not consent. This went in front of a trial, and the judge sentenced him to 3 months in prison, which he actually didn't even serve all of that time. And there was a lot of media outcry that he shouldn't even receive that much prison time, because that's a stiff price to pay for 20 minutes of action.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Taylor, for your speech.